Don't come online talking bad about your internet provider because you're live
I,
now.
co- I didn't
And
say anything. I didn't say their names.
you did that behind the scenes and it was muted.
Hmm.
So now
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
world is watching and we're like on everybody's channel.
Oh
So
yeah, we're everywhere, global, all over the
listen,
place.
we international right here. Somebody better recognize this is the Creative Collab. That is who cares about me? That's Melanie Diane Howe over there. My goodness, it's so good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you too,
You
James.
know,
Always
I,
good to see you.
I,
Always good to see you. I like that sweatshirt, by the way.
well, hold on. No, don't put the what is it, the cart before the
Well,
horse or whatever.
I, I,
This sweatshirt is in honor of our guest today.
it's awesome. I like it.
Yeah,
I'm
he
just
he
saying,
didn't
I
even
like it.
recognize it. He didn't even
I
recognize it.
just noticed it right. Like we were on the talking before we started, and I just wasn't really focused on that. I wasn't paying attention, and I just noticed. I was like, I like that sweatshirt. I like the
Uh-huh.
color. Okay, all right.
All right.
What are we
Well,
talking about
listen,
today,
we
Mr.
seeing
Hicks?
folks coming in. We seeing folks coming in. The usual suspects coming in to cause trouble and to heckle from the back of the room. Gotta love that. Gotta love that.
I do love that
Um,
actually.
we are going to talk a little bit about the overall creator economy. Talk about not relying on one resource, not relying on one platform. Diversification. Man, that's a big word.
Oh,
I'm not usually I'm a white collar guy, but a blue collar kind of thing as well. I don't use a lot of big words. Um, we can't rely just on the YouTube partner program. We can't rely just on merch sales. We can't rely just on this, and this. Diversification and being off platform is what we're going to talk about. Now, I know you have a couple of things that you're working on as well. We were talking behind the scenes.
mhm.
I'm not going to put you out there, but right,
Okay. Yeah.
other
No,
avenues
listen,
of.
I think we've all heard, we've heard it, but whether you do something about it is a whole nother thing. And what I'm saying is we all hear how you can't just rely on social media. But
Hmm.
you can't build a business on social media. Well, listen, you could absolutely do things and earn income and all that, but we don't own social media. Case in point, I haven't had my Facebook profile since November 11th.
Oh my
So if
gosh.
I were relying on my Facebook account to earn an income, I would be in bad shape right now. In fact, I actually have a good friend. She owns a brick and mortar business, but she sells online. And this similar thing happened to her. She was able to get it back, but in just 1 month, she lost $30,000 in sales just
Hmm.
because she was unable to run her ads and do things on her Facebook account. So anyway, you can't build your business on borrowed land, and these platforms, social media platforms, is just, it's great, but you have to have a little bit more control. So I hope we dive into some of that today. I think it's going to be
Well,
a really
listen,
good
you
conversation,
set it
because
up
again, hearing
perfectly.
that is one thing, but not
Yeah,
doing anything about it's a whole nother ballgame. So yeah.
you set it up perfectly. Listen, we got the guy behind the scenes. I'm not going to even try to do the introduction. I'll let him do his own introduction because he's fancy. He's
Oh,
fancy. And listen, everyone shouts out to the man, Mr. Rob Balasabas. Come on now. Balasabas.
Hey,
Wow.
hey,
How are you,
hey,
sir?
hey.
I should put
You
some
really, you
sound
really.
effects right there.
Well, glad to be here, James, Mr. Hicks, and Mel. Really cool to be with you guys, man. It's
Definitely,
good.
brother.
Yeah, you really set me up. A lot of pressure for
Well,
intro,
we
but
know it. We
just
family
me.
here. Again, this is a conversation, not an interview. And talk. Let's talk about the content creator hoodie that we got on. What is
Uh,
this? This is the first release of the Balasabas
that's
merch.
right. That's right. That's
ooh, I
right. That's
love
right. That's
it.
right. That's right. I want to do more merch next year.
Come on.
Definitely. Definitely. You guys have all your merch going on. So yeah, no, thanks, James. That's
I
awesome. I
don't,
appreciate
but
that.
James does. And you know what's interesting? It's funny you said that, because that's definitely a great example that we should get into. But I was just thinking about this. Like, remember, pandemic happened and merch like started blowing up. It became a thing for content creators, online personalities to sell merch. But then I feel like it fizzled out a little bit. But I'm starting to see it have a new it's returning, right? So I'm glad to hear that you want to do that next year, Rob, because I think it's cool. I think it's neat. I have
I think
multiple t-shirts of James's. I love them. So yeah. Anyway, sorry.
I love it. That's all
Squirrel.
good. So,
First squirrel of the show.
first moment. There's going to be another glitch too before we get through. Rob, you introduce yourself. I like what's her name? The Creative Classroom. What's her
Jennifer.
Jennifer? So
Jennifer.
you forgot her name. I like
I
to
didn't
stay
realize
with.
I did. Sorry. Yeah. Go ahead. Go.
She says, I've been hearing people talk about how great it is to be verified, and she wants to talk a little bit about that. We may have to do a whole separate session about, again, your trials and
Yeah,
tribulations of going from being hacked on Facebook to going through
sure.
support, because someone could actually write an ebook on how to do it, because
They
there's
should.
no good way of understanding that. Um,
Yes.
that being said, Mr. Rob Balasabas, 35,000 foot level, tell us who you are and what it is that you do, man.
Whoa, wow. Yeah, no.
Just do
Hey, everyone.
35,000 feet. So just bring the plane
Really
in
high,
slowly,
really high.
man. Bring us in, man.
Bring it in nice and slow. Yeah, no. Hey, everyone. Really glad to have you, or have you here. I'm so used to hosting these things. Really glad to be here. Thanks, James and Mel. Good to see the folks in the chat as well. Andrew and the Fef and Kev. Really good to see you guys. Yeah, no, I'm Rob. I create content, a lot of tutorials, sort of software tutorial content. And then I also help creators working in-house at a company called Uscreen build their membership. So that's the 35,000 feet intro. Hopefully, let's start with that.
Right, you just at cruising altitude. You didn't get into no specifics at all,
No.
but I love the fact. So appreciate that. And Uscreen is a huge platform that's out there, helping creators diversify and helping creators have, as again, those off-brand revenue sources and things of that. Let's start there and why that even matters, right? Because a lot of folks who want to be creators have a story, have a community that they want to build. Probably initially they start with Facebook because that's where they could build community kind of quick, kind of easy, but then always want to
Mhm.
do the lights, camera, action into the YouTube side and go over there. But why does it matter to have off-platform revenue streams for creators from your perspective?
I think, I mean, I try to think of like the best ways to, the easiest ways to explain this for a creator. But I think outside of creator, let's take a step back from creators for a minute. I think if we look at other examples historically, things that we already are all familiar with, I think we look at athletes, for example, or celebrities, right?
Mm.
We look at them and say, okay, well, how do they make money, right? So, athlete will play for a team, right? Work for a company as an employee. After that, they typically do brand deals, endorsements, right? Tiger Woods, like what did they do? What did he, Jordan, like what do? They sold other people's products, right? Typically, right? Using their attention that they built, they sell other people's products. Companies will use them to sell their products through them, to distribute their products through them. And then eventually they figure it out and they're like, well, maybe I should have my own products. Like maybe I should create my own products that I can sell. I could have a restaurant, I could have a nightclub, I could have clothing lines, and I build my own products that then I sell. That because I have the attention already, I have these like built-in attention and demand from these fans, these followers. I'm going to sell them my own stuff, right? Rather than like selling, you know, other people's
Mm-hmm.
things, right? Other people's products. And I think that's sort of like, I think more and more creators are seeing that and seeing sort of like what athletes have done, what celebrities have done. And now they're starting to build their own products, right? Not to say that athletes are not stopping, like playing for professional leagues or professional teams, or celebrities are not stopping they're not stopping, making movies, but they're now thinking, okay, well, now I'm building this attention while I'm like sort of building my attention and my audience. I'm going to also like build my own products and sell them directly, And so I think that's kind of what creators are seeing now. They have YouTube, they have these social platforms, they're making ad money, right? AdSense money, for example, passive revenue that way. They're doing brand deals and sponsorships. We sponsor a lot of creators as well. But from like, I don't know, I'd say probably in the last 12 to 18 months, we've had more creators tell us like, hey Rob, yeah, appreciate the outreach to sponsor my content on YouTube, but I'm actually not doing any more sponsorships because my company is sponsoring my YouTube channel now,
Mm-hmm.
my videos now. I have my own products that I am now
Mm,
selling, which, they do it because they have more control, right? They have more
mhm.
control and honestly more margins probably. So yeah, I
No,
think that's kind of where things are going.
what you got, Mel?
Oh, I love like how you broke down the evolution of the like, like you said, you get started. It's no, I mean, I love the analogy towards the athletes too, because I do think that you start in one place and then you add layers. And I think a lot of people sometimes get overwhelmed because they see the big picture, they see all the possibilities, and they get paralysis through how do I make this happen? Or, oh, I'm not anybody enough to sell merch and, my own stuff and who would buy, whatever. But I think what you described and the way you described it was the evolution that the mind should go into, which is, you start here, then you layer this, and then you layer that, and then you just keep building as you go. Obviously, it doesn't mean you can't go out with a big old bang, but I liked the way that you broke that down. And I want the audience listening, because I know many people here, I can look at some of the names in the chat, and I absolutely visualize some of these people selling their own merch, doing brand deals, and then becoming their own, sponsors of their own stuff. But what's interesting is, how does somebody decide that they're ready for something like that? And where do they start with
Yeah.
that? That's kind of, I think that for me, when we were talking earlier, when I was thinking about merch in general, I think we are starting to see so much more, just like so many more content creators, because the technology is making it easier. The equipment is becoming more accessible. The consumers of content, the consumers of products are becoming more accustomed to, for example, not have to walk into a brick and mortar store. People are used to buying things online. So therefore, it's easier to start a business selling your things, because you don't have to go find a building, get a lease, or build stuff or build things. You can literally just do it from your house and start selling online. So I think it's just
Mhm.
the barriers of entry have completely come down. And so now you're starting to see all these opportunities open up. But how does somebody how do they know if they're ready for something like that? That's kind of where I think a lot of people get stuck, associating themselves with being somebody ready to
Yeah.
sell things.
Yeah, that's a really good question, Mel. I think, because obviously I'm with Uscreen, and people, when I go to conferences, they're like, "Yeah, I'd love to learn more. I'd love to." And actually, more often than not, like we tend to say, like, "Well, let's talk about it first. Maybe you're not quite ready for a membership." Being super super transparent. The way that I look at it, memberships as a revenue stream for creators is probably one of the last things that you would build. You kind of have to build an audience, you have to build a following, loyalty. You kind of have to know, like, what is the pain point you serve, you help people with. And so, not all revenue streams are equal in terms of like what you make, but also the amount of work it takes, right? Like, if I started a YouTube channel today, I have this conversation quite often, I probably wouldn't look at memberships or even courses quite yet. I'd probably start with affiliates, right? I'd probably start
Hmm.
with, to be honest, coaching, consulting, right? Like, those are like high capital injection of revenue into your business. And you don't need a massive following. You don't need a real deep community quite yet to monetize with those kind of revenue streams. Whereas like a membership or courses, you kind of need, or brand deals even, you might need a little bit more, experience, a little bit more reach, a little bit more, sort of knowledge before you launch those kind of kind of revenue streams. So yeah, and I
Yeah.
think when you're ready, I think your community, your audience will tell you,
Hmm.
and also I think your calendar will tell you'll kind of feel it. You're like, man, I'm doing a lot of one-on-one calls. Okay, well, like, I'm gonna run out of time blocks in my day. I'm gonna run out of like Zoom, calendar blocks in my day. I can't do more one-on-one calls unless I increase my rates or I work on the weekends, right? So it's
Yeah.
like, okay,
Hmm.
so how do I solve that problem? Okay, maybe I'll package some of my knowledge and people can watch it on demand. And I'll also increase my rates. And so if they can't afford me one-on-one, then they can at least go to my courses and catch it on demand, that sort of thing. And so I think your calendar, your weeks, your time management will kind of tell you when you need to launch new solutions, new revenue streams.
Yeah. I was going to say, transparently as well, think about it, the barrier of entry of getting into something like a
Mhm.
membership. Listen, I mean, shouts out to Uscreen. Uscreen the truth, man. But it costs a couple of nickels to get it up and get it up and going to where
That's right.
it's actually supporting you and bringing value to your community. So that's definitely not something that you do day one, week one, month one, right? Again, kind of as you were saying, Rob, you got to already be established with other streams, other forms. I guess I want to ask about different types of offerings as well. We kind of hinted at
Hmm.
them. Mel was talking about courses and workshops and things like that. Where we seem to always talk about the merch stuff. I want to do more than hats, and I want to do more than t-shirts. Right. I guess
And shoes. You're doing shoes.
oh, the shoes are dope. Don't listen. Okay. I'll go get them while you guys talk if you want to. But that's the thing, right? Different types of offerings and reaching out to the community and asking them what they want. Right. I did a poll with the community and asked them what they wanted next, and they said hot sauce. We about to launch hot sauce. Right.
Oh,
I guess your idea on that kind of thing, because yeah, the hats are dope, the t-shirts, the sweatshirts, and the hoodies are dope. But are you seeing other things come into play where creators can offer to their community and monetize it? Right. Actually have some value for what they give.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, honestly, I think your revenue as a creator is really your community. Now, how you look, and that's so cliche, but it's like without a community, without a loyal following, you can't really do much as a creator. You can only do so, like you can maybe get some AdSense, right? But if you think about like, okay, if I'm going to sell merch, I need people that follow me, that are loyal and kind of like me as a person, kind of trust me. There's all of these like layers of that, okay, to even sell merch. And then if you start thinking about like courses, okay, well, I'm going to, like, why would I pay for your stuff if your stuff is on YouTube for free? There's got to be something really special about that. So there's got to be a deeper connection. So, and then when you get into memberships, like you definitely, like, hey, if I'm going to give you money every month, I really need to trust you and find value in what you do. So, if you're going to go to a brand and say, hey, Nike, or hey, whatever brand, sponsor my content, like, okay, well, why? Like, well, people trust me, right? Like they trust me if I use this microphone, and I say they should use it too, they'll probably buy that microphone, right? And so there's got to be that. And so I think you got to figure out like, what is your community plan as a creator, like whether you're new or been around for a while. I come across Mel and James, I come across so many creators, they have so many views, let's say on TikTok, but they don't have an email list, or they can't name 5 people that follow them or like watch them by name. Like they don't have that connection. They're just, I just want to have a big following, big vanity numbers. Like those numbers are like, from a brand perspective, even like looking at sponsoring creators that way, it's really doesn't get a brand excited, right? It's like, well, you don't even know who you're serving. Can you describe who's your audience? This is sort of like, from wearing my brand hat, like I'll talk to a creator and it's like, can you describe like who is your audience? What do they do? Like, what do they do for fun outside? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't really know what they do. I don't know who they are. You know what I mean? And so I was like, okay, well, that's an easy no for a brand, right? It's an easy no to like, all right, well, if you don't know them, then maybe they don't know you. Maybe they're just kind of scrolling real quick on TikTok and they can't tell you between, 8 other creators that they kind of see often, right? So I don't know where I was going with that, but that's, yeah. So I think your community is really,
but
really
you went there.
Yeah, but I went there.
Yeah. I love that because I think it's so important because I honestly think it's something that people don't realize why it's so important to build a relationship with your audience, which is, this is why I'm such an advocate for live video, because it is how you get to know your people. I mean, it's how I know the Creator Classroom's name is Jennifer and the Artist Haven is Tish. Like, I mean, so I think that building relationships, a membership, I think somebody mentioned it earlier, like, a membership is, Andrew Can said, a membership is also a relationship building exercise too. And I think that that's why I liked when you were talking about the evolution of, what you were monetizing yourself and your business and whatever. But I also think what you just touched on is interesting too, because there are different types of creators. There are, creators that are merely out here to make short form, funny, viral videos.
Yeah.
They don't want to build a relationship with anyone. They're just there to be funny and whatever. Then you have creators out there who have a similar look on their social content, but they may also have a podcast, right? So it's like, there's so many people where I discover them on, Instagram or whatever. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, they have a podcast too. So then I go over to the podcast and it's similar, but different. It's deeper and it's more about them communicating a deeper message to their audience. So, probably only 5% of their social followers are actually listening to their podcast or part of their membership or whatever. And, but I just think it's, again, there's types of creators that probably are never going to do what you described: go build a website, build an email list, actually try to create a course or create some sort of transformational product, or just sell products in general. And then there are the ones that want to build a multi-revenue channel business. And I think that that's probably where, you guys at Uscreen thrive, is catering to those people. So, I think that you have to understand, like, you guys are like, these are our people, those are not our people, which is kind of what you were getting at a little bit. But I liked it because I think that it's important for everyone to understand the different types of online creators, and where do you fall? What bucket do you fall in? Because you need to understand that bucket. And maybe you're like, well, I want to be selling merch and I want to be making money on a membership. Well, just like what Rob said, do you know your audience? Are you building a relationship with them? If you're not right now, you need to start doing that, because you're never going to be able to get to that place where, unless you have some sort of special, unique, lightning in a bottle style with your short form entertaining videos, you're not really going to be able to sell anything, unless it's something that people want to be a part of and they want to associate themselves and have some weird t-shirt that's some saying that you say all the time. But anyway, I think it can be done. And I just think that, Rob, it's a whole different ballgame if you want to do it with this other multifaceted way.
Yeah. Rob, I guess I would say before you respond to that, we're putting the onus on the creator, telling folks that this is actually work, right? Yeah, it's turning on the lights, pressing record, or it's doing that thing. But if you don't have that vision board written down, I'm looking at it over here. If you don't have those plans and those goals and those steps, if you haven't done that work ahead of time, it's really, that's where burnout comes in, I guess, for a lot of creators, right? When you're trying to boil the ocean, when you're trying to do too much, but you really don't know what in the world is that you're doing. So if you can't give that elevator pitch or that 35,000 foot level of what it is that you do and who you serve, that's okay, but figure it out before you go reach out to the Shures and the Sonys or whomever, and looking for brand relationships and partnerships and trying to grow who it is that you are in your reach. Does that make sense? Or again, I'm probably just coming off the dome.
No. Okay. You're totally right, James. Yeah. I mean, we all talk to so many creators, and I mean, our conversations with creators. Hey, what's up, Tim? Good to see you, Tim. I haven't seen you in a while, but our conversations always tend to go towards the monetization and like, hey, tell me about the business behind the scenes. Like, I love all the content, but like, tell me about the business behind the scenes. And it's not like, it's not to sell you screen. Like, it's more like, okay, is there even a fit here? What else do you have? I'd love to, this is really interesting. Like, I'm glad that you're getting so many views and viral videos, but like, what is the business behind the scenes, right? Because, if you haven't done, to me as a brand, wearing my Uscreen head of partnerships hat, talking to a creator, if you haven't sort of done a couple other revenue streams and had success with other revenue streams, it really probably is not going to be a fit for us anyway, right? Just because, like what Mel said, maybe you're not our people. You're going to have a fantastic business. You're going to have a great lifestyle, but you're probably not the type of creator that we're going to work with, right? Selling software, right? And that's totally fine. There's a lot of creators out there that do really well, and they have brand deals, sort of like exploding, and they can't handle anymore, and they have to create a new podcast so they can like serve these new brand deals and stuff like that, right? They're creating new channels and new content channels for themselves because they have the supply and demand of brands interested working with them. They need to create new inventory, right? And so, and so that's just sort of like, for us though, it's like, okay, well, if you haven't, have you created courses? Have you done any coaching in the past? Not really, but I think you'll be a fit for us. Like, I don't know. So, but there's so much to what you said, James, about like having a plan of, okay, this is how I'm going to monetize. I'm not just going to create content. I think you have to be intentional, or else you're going to burn out for sure. Like, you're going to burn out because you're doing so much and you're expecting to have a certain level of success and you don't get it, right away or ever. And you're like, okay, well, I'm just going to keep on going, and it's like, maybe you need to just step back a little bit and just like think about like, what is my actual plan? I'm doing this live stream, for you, James and Mel, I'm sure you guys are doing the live stream. You're showing up here. There's like an intention, there's like an intended result for creating this type of content. Andrew Can. He creates a lot of tutorials. We're gonna call you out, Andrew, but like he's
No,
really
he's
smart. I
he's a
talked
good
to
dude.
Andrew.
Yeah.
Yeah, I talked to him a lot, and he's like, okay, he's creating content, and I ask him like, hey, what's this content for? And he can tell you, okay, well, I'm creating this content because this is like top of funnel. This is more beginner content. I'm trying to get them into my free membership, my free community, and eventually, I'm going to trust that my process, my funnel, will get them to a place where I'm monetizing that follower or that audience member.
Mhm.
So, I think you should be able to explain that to yourself. And if you can't, and you can't like connect the dots from like, I'm creating this type of content because I want to connect it to this revenue stream, I think you may need to just pause a bit and just like, okay, let me rethink that. Rather than just like being busy versus being productive
Oh
kind of
my
conversation, right?
Oh
Yeah,
my.
yeah.
No, I love this. This is so important because I actually think that it is one of the keys to burnout is that people are just focusing on create, 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 and they're not being intentional. Maybe because they don't know how. I was just listening to a podcast in the shower this morning and it was all about this, like the 80-20 rule and blah, blah, blah. And it was, but anyway, what you're describing is really important because basically what Rob is you have to understand the role that your content and your activities, whether it's email and other stuff, plays in that customer journey. There is a roadmap from someone starting with you to getting to a place, like you said earlier, to trust, to buy from you, or to even get to a place where they're ready for your membership. So, for example, maybe there are people that need to learn certain things before they're even really like qualified, or maybe these are like prerequisites before they're even ready to be in your membership. So, my friend Amy Porterfield, for example, she has a membership, but you literally have to go through her course first because the membership is all about supporting you in the next phase of your journey. So, go through the course, learn what you need to learn, and then the membership is all about supporting you taking it to the next level, launching and taking it to the next level. So, but it wouldn't make any sense for somebody to be in that membership if they hadn't gone through the course because there's going to be all this stuff and Q&A and all these things they would be completely irrelevant to you and you're just going to muck up the content by asking a bunch of questions that everyone's like that was in module 3, or whatever. So I do think that there's multiple ways that this can look. It can look with preparing somebody and your content, taking them on a journey to being ready to buy, but it can also be getting them ready to where they're ready to need your final, your end of the bottom of the funnel product. So I think it's very important to, I think most content needs to have a role, an objective,
Yeah.
a reason. And it could be community building, fun and just community building, but it could very much be all about where does it play the part in the journey. So I love it. Driving traffic to other pieces of content that will do that. So everyone should always be thinking, what's that roadmap look like? And if you don't know, you need to spend some time doing it for sure. Like Rob said, I like how Rob today, by the way, it's funny because Rob is like one of the nicest human beings I've ever met in my life. Like Rob's one of those people where you literally are like, I can't even like, I mean, I'm sure it happens because you're human, but I'm like, does Rob ever get upset about anything? Does anything bother him? Has he ever been mad in his whole life ever? He clearly has no wrinkles right here because he's never frowned his whole life at all. But literally, I'm like, he's the nicest human being, but he did just give people some like, hey, you're not ready. Sorry. Like he
Yeah.
kind of did give like the whole like, get your crap together, people, if you haven't done this, but like in the Rob way.
Yeah, that's so funny. That's so funny. A friend of ours actually said that to my wife. Like, like Justine, I can't even imagine Rob being upset. Like, is he? And then we just laughed at it. Like,
No,
of course.
I
Yeah,
literally in
but
my head was like,
yeah,
I'm
that's so
sure his
funny.
wife has experienced it in some way, shape, or form. Who knows? But I mean, it's kind of like one of those like Andrew said, I've seen mad once. That's funny. But no, I think it
Next
was really
conference, I'm gonna
important.
try to get you upset. I'm gonna like
We gotta
pull your Tim
know.
Hortons out of your hand or something. Oh
No, that's
no,
perfect.
How could you do that? Yeah.
I would never do
So
that. I'm sorry.
funny.
I'm
That's
sorry.
so funny.
I just think
That's
it's
so
it,
funny.
it's
That's so
just
funny.
key. What you said was like real truth bombs. Again, we're having fun here, but like I always say,
Yeah.
like, if you really want to build a business and make money, you need to start listening to the crap that you don't want to hear. And that's one of those things. People want to jump to the fun and jump to this, but like if you're just creating content and you don't know what that content's doing or if you can't go through your stuff and say, here's why I made this, here's why I made that, here's the purpose of this. I made this because my audience needs XYZ. Like if you can't do that, then you might make money, but you're going to work your butt off to get there. I mean, oof,
Yeah,
and probably
yeah,
wear yourself out and your audience, quite frankly.
I'm
yeah. I
gonna
mean, there's
say
so
I'm
much.
gonna say.
Go
No,
ahead, go
I was
ahead,
just gonna
James.
say
Yeah.
that. I'll let you go. But I've been there's some great comments that are coming from the community here, and
Mhm.
what everyone is saying, and Andrew's over here dropping gems like all the
I know
time.
it.
I mean, maybe is he on somebody's
He needs to
payroll?
come on the show. He needs to come on the show.
Come on, dude.
I
And
feel like he's on
Sizzle
our
Serve
little
Yum
dream
is over
list.
You
here
got it.
dropping them
Yeah.
too. So shouts out to y'all. Just wanted to let y'all know we see you now. Okay, go ahead, brother.
No, no. I was gonna say what Mel was saying. Like, I think we all see it. Like, we all know what the. I think most creators, they get it. But it's just, I don't know. There's something about the things that are like not sexy that people don't want to do. Like, yeah, you just, hey, you got an awesome podcast, lots of views. It's all these like vanity numbers that always just get me all the time. And it's like, this is really, really great. I'm so happy for you. But at the same time, like, what happened? What if you lose your YouTube channel? Like, I mean, Mal,
Yeah.
you're going through a Facebook thing right now, right? Like, what happened?
Yeah.
And like, I've seen so many like people that we work with that have lost, their TikTok or Instagram or YouTube or whatever, for
Mhm.
whatever reason, like just super random. And what do we do? Then what do you do?
Yeah.
And it's just,
So talk.
it's
So
just
hold
like
on.
the
So
base.
talk about that, because we're in the midst of that right now. All of us as creators with this possibility, right?
Mhm.
We've built presences on TikTok. There's a possibility that it may go away.
I didn't.
Right.
Hey, you're in the minority on that, because I'm over here trying to blow up on TikTok, and it's kind of working. But there's a possibility in a few weeks
Oh.
that may go away. What do you
Right.
tell folks who have spent a lot of energy over on a particular platform? Talk to us a little bit about diversification, and like
I
Mel said,
think
don't invest in rented land, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it's just, I mean, there's so many things you could do, but I think the main thing is just like, even if you're just even if you're entertainer, right? You're a comedian, or maybe you're not like the folks here on this stream where you're teaching, you're an educator, creator. And so it's easy for us. Like, oh yeah, you just make a lead magnet, and like, here's a checklist, and we can like ask people to go download that, and then we get their email, and okay, now we're building something. Even if you're like an entertainer, maybe you have like a limited series that you could put
Mhm.
behind some type of email opt-in, right? And then now you're people from TikTok or Instagram or whatever, YouTube Shorts, can then like go and grab that. Now you have their email, right? It's just, I think it just takes an extra second to go through. And man, we got ChatGPT, we got Gemini. Like, just go in there, like, hey, I'm a comedian on TikTok, I go viral, what's some lead magnets I can create? It'll give you a bunch of lists of things that you can create as lead magnets, right? And so I think just a basic thing of that, having some type of email list that's like evergreen, as long as you have your social access or social channels. Like, I think building that just protects you from sort of these random sort of disasters that could happen.
That are going to happen.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're going
yeah,
exactly. I think it's a matter of, not if, when, whether it be a platform. I mean, it's not like TikTok's a great example, right? It's a great example, but uh don't forget about Facebook groups. All of a sudden, no third-party apps connecting to Facebook groups anymore. That
yeah.
affected a lot of people's businesses because, to your point, they were using Facebook groups as the gate, right, to get into the exclusive content. And now all of a sudden, those people had to figure out a different way either to deliver their content, engage with their audiences if they were using third-party apps. But my point is just like, at any point in time, Twitter obviously changed it where, excuse me, X, whatever it's called.
It'll always be
You
Twitter.
have
No,
to,
no, no, no. You
you
don't have
got,
to
you
Yeah,
gotta,
apologize
always.
for
yeah,
that. It'll
you
always
gotta
be Twitter.
pay if you want to go live. I mean, it's just, there's these platforms, in order to stay alive, have to make money. And in order to make
Yeah.
money, they are going to have to continue to pivot and to change and to make certain things that your little, again, window of opportunity. There's a reason why that phrase is what it is. And so I do think it's really important for everyone to understand that's what they are. They're opportunities. They're great. They're wonderful, but it could change any minute. It could change. You could get hacked. Congress could create regulations, or they could just decide to change the platform. And so, to Rob's
Mhm.
point, I love how you said, you gotta be doing this. You got to be ready for it. And what do you think, Rob, about all these people that are having a lot of success right now on the platforms, and that's the only place they are? like where do they get started? You know, like, do they start with email, website? Do they come to you guys first? Like somebody who's like
No.
they've got a big following, they're actually monetized, they're doing well, they're even maybe selling some stuff using their socials, but they're not creating the full architecture that they should for the business itself. Where do you think they get started?
Yeah, I think they just start with a lead magnet, just something really simple, and it's something that's been around for years. And you just create a lead magnet that, however, you can get their email address to get something from you. And it doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be this like massive produced thing. But like I said, like a checklist, right? Could be a limited series, maybe an exclusive piece of content that you put behind some type of email opt-in that's totally free. Right. There's lots of tools that you can use to do that. Yeah. So even I've seen some folks, Mel and James, like I've seen some folks use Google Forms, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just a
Mm-hmm.
Google
Old
form.
school.
It's a
There you go.
survey.
Yeah.
Old
Yeah.
school, old
Basic,
school.
scrappy.
Name and email. That's it. Yeah, and they do it manually, right? I think it's just like this extra step of like all right, let me just think it through. Like it's rather than like a month, months, years later, you're like, man, I've got all these views, but like I've got like 30 people on my email list, or whatever it
Mhm.
is, right? The thing I think most creators don't realize until maybe much down the road is that you can't really sell much. I mean, you can, like, there's affiliates, people make money on affiliate revenue and stuff like that. From a video, like from a YouTube video or a TikTok or a reel. But the high ticket stuff usually is sold through an email nurture sequence, right?
Mhm.
Most of the creators that use Uscreen that are selling memberships, 20, 30, 50, $100 a month memberships, they're not selling directly from YouTube. You're not going to hear them on YouTube and say like, hey guys, I'm going to do this tutorial. By the way, this is a membership. You can sign up for my membership here. It's like $50 a month. Usually doesn't happen. That's not the call to action for most of our creators. Most of it is like, hey, by the way, this is a recipe. And if you want to download the recipe, go to the link. That link takes them to an email opt-in. And then that email opt-in gets them into a sequence of like 4, 5, 6, 7 emails where they're getting sort of like up the value ladder of the monthly membership. And sometimes the membership isn't even the first offer. It's just like, hey, here's a mini course, or here's like a small one-time thing. Here's merch. If you want to purchase our merch, he's like, buy it for $20, $30, right? And then, okay, let's like slowly you're building this connection. Okay, now by the way, like, hey, we have a membership. You can sign up for that as well. And that's typically like the peak of their value ladder beyond like high ticket retreats and coaching and
Mhm.
that sort of thing. Yeah. So that's usually where the high ticket, like the real players like sell, is through the email nurture sequence versus like a YouTube video with a really hard call to action,
Yeah.
What's good about that is I think a lot of this conversation, and shouts out to everyone in the comments, man. Keep bringing it because we got Balasabas here and we got MDH. I'm just here, Wizard of Oz behind the scenes, pulling the curtain. Um, Everything seems to start with ownership of that list, right? Ownership of that email list, regardless of if Facebook, if Instagram, if TikTok, if all these platforms go away, if Elon Musk goes crazy. Well, okay, I'm not going to do that again. But if something happens to any of these platforms, you own that email list. I know Rob's email. I can reach him one-on-one and we can have a conversation. We can talk about a value proposition. I've got Mel's email and we can have that same conversation. And that is where it can stem all those other aspects, right? We all have newsletters. I just resubscribe to one of your newsletters today, Rob, because you've got so many and I can't keep up. But but you own that email list and you can send different types of assets, different types of suggestions and offerings to different, right? You can segment those emails as well and those offerings. So again, we're telling folks that they got homework to do. One, understand what it is that you want to do, who it is you want to serve, understand what your goal is and what your community, what the value is that you're trying to bring. Start with that email list. Start with something that you own, that you can, again, not be subject to rented land, again, so to speak. I want to ask about something, and again, it's a squirrel moment because I'm looking at my notes, so I'm gonna do it. That's what I'm gonna do. You started talking numbers, right? And I have stolen a statement from the founder and CEO of Mighty Network. Shouts out to Gina. People pay attention to what they pay for.
Mhm.
uh, the value of the number, the rate card, so to speak, for those memberships, those premier services. How do you have that conversation with creators who want to do such and such a thing? It is $9.95, is $20.99, is $99.90. Is there a number that you have that conversation, or is it just, or is it different?
It's different. Yes, it's different. We have folks that are charging, 19.99,
Mm-hmm.
$20 a month. We have um, a golfer that charges $100 a month, on his membership. It really depends. I think a lot of it is, market research. What are the similar memberships out there? What are similar
Mm-hmm.
programs out there? What's my hourly coaching consulting rates, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of the sort of factors like that. I mean, the real answer that I would give is that it's really like moving target. Pricing is such a moving target. It's like
Mm.
pricing a course is so, it really depends. Like, like you could price a course for $500, but is this course like, well, this course, if I get this course, maybe it's just for fun, but maybe it's for like, I remember when I was at Thinkific, there was this lady that was selling Excel courses, and people that were taking it, like, if I figure this out, if I really learn this, this could get me a promotion, and that's worth thousands of dollars for me. So, she was charging very high ticket, like $2,000 for this one course, but because if people get it, they could get like a
Hmm.
5-figure promotion, right, per year. So it really depends, James. And I think, that's pricing is just always going to be a moving target. It's always easier to increase your prices than to lower it. So,
Yeah.
Mm.
if you're kind of like struggling with that price, I think it's better to just, kind of go a little bit lower and like build up your customer base, your membership base, and then move it up. It's easier to kind of do that than to go down.
Perfect. That was actually a setup question because I want folks to understand that to not get hung up on that.
Yeah.
That's not the end goal, right? The number is not the end goal, right? The $20 a month, the $50 or whatever the case, it's the value, and then yeah, pricing can change as you move and as you grow. So it was a setup question, but it's softball. Okay, there you go.
Appreciate
I'll be quiet now.
that. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. No, that's good. That's good. Yeah, a lot of good comments in here. I don't know if there's any questions from the audience too. I'm happy to.
I was
I'm sure
looking,
you
I
guys
don't
have,
see any
yeah, answer some
questions,
questions as
but like,
well.
yeah, just a lot of good resonating comments from people for sure. So I would say, yeah, if anyone does have a question, we've got about 15 more minutes. So if you have a question for Rob about whether it be Uscreen or whether it be just, what we're talking about, which is of course just, creating revenue channels outside of just showing up on your social media platform, let us know. Put a Q in front of that comment so we can see it very easily and we can get that question over to Rob and get an answer for you. Cause Rob is great. I mean, I'm telling you, it's funny because I haven't seen you in a long time as well, Rob, especially in person. But it's like it's so good to talk to you again. Like it's just like every time I talk to you or consume anything you've ever put out there, I always learn something. Like I just always like, or even if it's just like, oh, it's a thought perspective I haven't really had, and I need to kind of like marinate on that a little bit. So definitely, you always have so much value to offer and give to everybody. So I super
Thanks,
duper
man.
appreciate you being here. Looks
Definitely.
like Andrew's got a question for you. So you want to pop that one up on the screen there, James?
Dr. Khan is saying, what do you think is the best way you can transfer value from one platform to a membership? They're similar yet different. It's a good one.
Mm.
Transfer value from one platform to a membership. I know a little bit about I mean, I know Andrew's running his membership with. So I'm thinking okay. I mean, yeah, in general, typically the membership has like one of the things with a membership business is that you need to set expectations, right? Like, all right, so you're going to charge me $19 a month. Cool. What do I get for $19 a
Hmm.
month? So as long as the expectation meets sort of, what the fee is every single month, then we're no problem. It's all good. As soon as that expectation is not met, then we have an issue, right?
Hmm.
And so I think if you're going from one platform to another, and that happens quite a fair bit actually, James and Mel. Like there's folks that come to Uscreen because they kind of feel like they're graduating from another platform. And I don't want to name names, but
Hmm.
there's
Well,
certain platforms,
No, that's a good
for
point.
example,
I
Yeah.
think
Okay.
I
yeah,
also think that I do honestly, I think maybe Andrew might, and maybe if I'm wrong, Andrew, I apologize, but I think what he's meaning is like let's say you're out there, you're on YouTube, you're putting so much out there. People are getting your live, so they get your live content, they get to learn from you, and now you want to monetize it behind a gated wall, which is a membership. How do you go from this is where all your stuff is to membership? And so I think you were getting there when you said you have to set expectations. They have to have a reason to give you money. That means they've got to be getting something different that they're not getting in the free public stuff. I think that could be what he meant. Not totally sure,
Yeah.
but that's kind of how I took his question.
Yeah,
Yeah,
how
yeah,
do you
that's a
make
good.
sure
Okay.
the reason that they sign up matches what they know you for? We've gotten this question before, is what
Mm.
he's saying, but and
We
and you
do,
won't
right?
mention names, but I'll mention, right. Going from something free like a Discord,
Yeah,
Discord is okay for what it does and what it serves, but again, I like how you said when you want to graduate, right? When you want to
yeah,
graduate
yeah,
and kind of elevate
Yeah.
the experience for your
Or even
community.
YouTube memberships. If you're
True.
ready to
Yeah.
graduate from a YouTube
Hmm.
membership or a Facebook group, I mean, those are the low-hanging fruit, super easy to get started with. But, how do you go from that to your point, graduating?
Hmm.
I think is also something worth discussing too, for sure. But yeah.
yeah, yeah. That like the deliverable per for a membership is always like a really tricky question for a lot of creators. They and I do feel like sometimes it's you kind of overthink it. I only think that because I've met some creators that use our platform that super simplify it. And there's some creators out there that use our platform, which I love it. They're hey, exclusive content, behind the scenes content, live interviews, one coaching call per month, and it's just like this really long deliverable of lists of deliverables, right, for the membership. Recently, I've been meeting a lot more creators that are really simplifying it. They're like, hey, you're going to get one live stream each month, and it's going to be it's going to be a call where you guys can also open your cameras and we can talk to each other. You can ask questions. I find that because they're already live streaming. Actually, it's really good for this audience too. Is that, hey Rob, we're already live streaming. We already have content on YouTube. We're live streaming on YouTube already, so they have access to us. What else can we do? Like, okay, cool. Like, does your live stream on YouTube have your audience joining in? Yes, they can chat. They can type in their questions. All right, cool. Well, why don't you guys do your membership, but then you allow them use Zoom or some other tool where they can also turn on their cameras and they can talk to each other and talk to you. Great. And then that's it. That's all they do. One live stream a month, or one sort of office hours, they would call it. And that's it. That's all they do. And people will pay $20, $30, $40 a month because then they know, going back to the pricing, they know that this person charges $500 an hour for their coaching. So you'd
Mhm.
never get this access sort of at this rate, right? So that's scalable for them. They take those questions in those office hours for the members, and then they turn them into shorts and TikTok. And then that flywheel of content also serves its purpose, right? Um, it's not just this one time office hours. They're actually taking that and it's helping them, market the membership.
Yeah.
It's just a flywheel. Yeah. So
I will say that, the answer to that question, we could have did that like behind the scenes and kind of premiere content right there. Because anytime you get, we got Balasabas breaking it down and giving us the
Right?
playbook. We could have charged. Listen,
I know, this is jam-packed.
shoot, I'm
I
trying to
my
get.
wheels are turning personally. I mean, honestly. So, I mean, I know other people's are. I love Jennifer's question, the Creator Classroom. She says, "What do you say to creators that are nervous to diversify monetization that feel their audience may just think they are money grabbing?"
Mm-hmm.
mm,
I
mm.
know what I know what my thought is on
I'd
that,
love,
but
I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. I definitely have thoughts on that as well. That's
I would say this, and this is tough love from Mel. You're afraid the money grabbing thing is you putting that in your own head. If you're afraid that your audience thinks you're money grabbing because you're now diversifying what you offer, then that's almost like you're automatically disqualifying what your value is. But that's not the case. And I know who Jennifer is, the Creator Classroom. She has amazing content. She's got a great focus in her stuff. So by saying, what if they think I'm money grabbing? That's limiting beliefs that you're creating in your own mind. So you won't know that. And if people accuse you of money grabbing, they're not the right fit for you. So you have a lot to offer. If you want to monetize those things by adding another layer or another lane to your content, because Canva is what Jennifer focuses on mostly, is Canva, but maybe she's ready to start to teach live video or something else, how to use Canva to do XYZ. You're just bringing more value and you want to monetize it by being afraid that they're money grabbing. That's just you creating a limiting belief in your mind. That's my opinion. That's like the therapist Mel coming out, tough love from Mel, as I like to call that. But yeah, that's my thought on that, guys. I mean,
like that.
sorry.
I like that.
And
Did
I know
you?
that Jennifer trusts me to say that to her, because here's the thing. I know Jennifer, she's in our audience. She's always showing up. So we have plenty of interaction where I can do that. Now, if it was a complete stranger asking that question, I might ask a few other questions. So that, again, that's how we're building a relationship here. That's live video. That's what you do. It's back and forth.
Yeah.
It's a legit question and it's real, but it's one of those things. She says, cough, cough, Camtasia. So she wants to teach video editing. I like
Right.
it. Hey, I like it. There's nothing wrong with teaching different products too, because some people that are in your audience, Jennifer, to their point earlier, they're ready to graduate their video editing skills. So if you have people asking, oh, can Canva do this? And you're like, actually I can't. And you have people asking and Camtasia can, and you want to teach them how to go do it with Camtasia, then you already know that you have something to offer that they're asking for. Back to Rob's first point is know your audience and what they need. Then there's no money grab concern here at all.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'll say again.
Go ahead, James.
No, go ahead. But I was just going to say again, people pay attention to what they pay for, and if you bring in the value,
That's right.
and they see what. And I'll never forget your name again, because your name's the same as my wife. So Jennifer.
There you go.
If you
don't call her Jen though. Don't call her Jen.
That's true. That's true.
Full name.
My goodness, you just threw me for a loop. If you're bringing value to your community, they will gladly pay you for your services because you're bringing value to them. And a lot of times, I've seen as well that you may be underpricing yourself for the value that you're giving someone. Right? Again, you may be charging X when they are willing to pay XYZ. So again, you never know what those are. So I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rob.
No, that's good. That's good. I love that. I would agree with Andrew, I think, and Mel as well. Like, if they're not willing to pay for you, then and they think you're money grabbing, they're not the right audience. And yeah, like you might actually end up, especially if we're like a lot of us here in the creator educator space, like if people are not paying, sometimes people paying, like you said, James, like they'll pay attention, and what they'll do is they'll actually put that into practice, right? They'll put into action. And so you're going to have people that are more locked in to actually taking your advice versus, some of the folks that are continuing to watch your content for years and not actually like doing anything with it. And that's just going to be frustrating. You're going to be so frustrated. You're going to get the same questions over and over again. But people that pay for education or training or anything like that, they typically will, because they're paying, they're like, okay, well, now I gotta actually use this so that I can get the benefits from it. So yeah. And also, like, sometimes it is hard. It is really scary to charge for anything, right? It's like, I don't know, like is the market going to do this? Or there's a lot of imposter syndrome that you may feel. And so maybe one advice I would say is, like, actually go to the people that you have already taught any successful stories and grab their testimonials and reviews. There's not affiliated or anything, but there's a really good tool out there called Senja, Senja. Great tool. It's easy. You send them a link and they can like record a testimonial right from their phone or their webcam, or give you a written review, and then use that, right? Maybe you're not like me. I'm not a great salesperson, or a great promoter. Then have your community, have your students that have done some successful things with you already, kind of tell your story a little bit. So I would just leverage that. That would just really help.
That's dope. I'll put the link to that in the description at the end. Sizzle Serve Yum, you were asking which link is in the video description. I want to make sure we capture all of that information for you as well. And then, see, Mel asked for questions, and then the floodgates open.
They brought it.
Rob was trying to go get a little lunch and everything, but now we got all kinds of questions.
It's all good.
Sizzle Serve Yum is saying, I have a small audience that I serve. What would you recommend for a small creator that does not have a big email list?
I mean, maybe it's just a matter of actually asking for it more. Like, a lot, like all of us, we all have email lists and we don't really promote it as much. Typically we'll promote something else. We'll tell people to subscribe or like a video, but typically not. It's kind of awkward to get that, sort of that, like that ad piece of like your own email list sometimes. So yeah, maybe just like try to just tell people more about it in every single video. Maybe even if it's at the end, if you don't want to start with it in the beginning, start with that. So, and then there's also like, there's a lot of finding other sort of similar creators in your niche. There's some platforms now, ConvertKit, Substack, all of these platforms, I feel like, and I'd love to hear your thoughts, they're helping creators kind of cross promote each other's email lists, and so if I subscribe to James' email list, it'll immediately have a pop-up saying, hey, you may also be interested in Mel's email list, or Mel's newsletter, because they're similar type of content. So maybe find some other creators in your space and sort of like cross-promote each other's lists as well.
Yeah, I love Substack.
I like.
Go ahead.
I have not done that before, but I've heard of it for sure. But it's similar. So similar to what I was going to say is, anytime I'm talking to somebody who has a small audience, small creator, small email list, this is just your phase of the journey. If you're starting out and you still have a small audience, it's just your phase of the journey. So, it's time to, go all in and make sure you have a lead magnet, you're offering value, creating the content that's, aligning to growing that list. But the best thing, I think, if you're small and you want to grow your audience, is to offer yourself to other creators as a guest in their content, so that you can start to, expand your reach. I still think it's one of the best and most organic ways to grow your audience, because somebody's getting a taste of you. They're what you're like. They literally are getting a sample of you because you are being a part of content that's somebody they already follow and trust. So there's probably already a natural alignment there. And so that's why I believe that it is one of the best ways to organically grow your audience and bring the right kind of people into your world. So you just need to understand that this is just your phase of the journey. And if you're in growth mode, so you need to be doing those things that will grow the audience, so that you can be offering more value to more people and you getting more money in your bank account as well.
Let's see, her voice inflected on that right there. Mel's definitely, she's been on stage before. She knows how to bring the point home. And I'll just interject real quick, because I think that also answers what Andrew was asking, right? He's got a community at a certain level, and he wants to scale it, again, how and what to do to get it from point A to the next point down the road. So that's Teacher Mel.
I think Andrew was more at, how do you handle your members when you get more and more members? How do you scale yourself?
I'm trying to give you some flowers here, right? And now you just throw them back at me.
That's what I thought. Come on, stop.
I'm
I
giving
know,
you
but at the same time,
I'm giving you Tito's,
I don't know. That's what I thought
and you
Andrew
throw it
was
back
saying.
at me.
I've been drinking less Tito's lately. Back on the bourbon.
Well, I'm gonna leave it alone.
Jameson and bourbons. It's cold. It's winter months.
Shout out to the Hoosier State. Rob, you don't know what you've walked into, man. This is family. This is what we do.
This is great. This is great. Well, I hope we hang out in person at some point in 2025. I feel like there's going to be a city.
Goal of mine.
It's happening. It's happening. I want to make sure we got all the questions that were brought up. But again, so creators that are thinking of, again, premium value, just some of these questions here, even that are being asked, and having a subject matter expert or trusted advisor like a Rob Balasabas come in, this could be at live office hours, to where you either have to be a subscriber, you either have to be a member, you have to pay to get that access, and then have that one-on-one coaching. That's a aspect right there that's different than just the cool hats and the cool t-shirts and the cool coffee cups and things like that. So just bringing that up. Yeah,
James's wheels are turning, clearly.
Listen, you about to get a Notion update here in a second, because we about to take this on Notion. The road. We're gonna be
Don't get me started with Notion.
We're gonna be at the YMCA in your town soon.
Yeah, we are.
Rob, you the dude, man. Rob, come on,
I appreciate it.
You the dude. Every time I see your post, you are you're pulling out the passport because you're in Japan, you're in wherever, you're Canada, you're down here in the States. You're doing the thing. You're reaching your communities and you're reaching our communities. You're sharing your insights. You can see it from the comments that have come in here as well, because you are a true evangelist for helping creators be creative. So I'm gonna give you the flowers since Mel didn't want them. I'm throwing them your way. Thank you, brother.
I
Thank you, brother.
appreciate it.
Where are folks gonna find you next, man? Because you probably got the
I
bags already
appreciate
packed
it.
right now.
We're going to CES. I think you guys go to CES, right?
Every
I
year,
think.
brother. Every year.
Oh man,
Yeah,
I thought
yeah,
about being on James's
yeah.
crew this year,
Come
but
on. I got room.
Oh yeah. I'll carry your bags. Yeah. No, yeah, that'll be the next one. So yeah, we'll see you there. But yeah, no, this has been so good. Thank you so much. Yeah, thanks for letting me kind of speak about some things that we don't normally talk to. But yeah, it's family here, so it's it can be a little bit more open. But yeah, I appreciate it. And yeah, it's exciting to see creators just sort of just getting smarter with how they make money. And not just sort of like the old ways of like, hey, let's just make some AdSense money, let's just get some viral video. Like they're really taking control now. They understand that like, hey, I might not go viral, but I can still have really successful like businesses, because I'm serving the right people. Yeah, and then it makes sense. It's just more enjoyable to run those kind of businesses. So it's great to see.
Love it. Love it.
awesome.
Mel, we're gonna do a separate show talking about your hacked world.
Yeah, we need
and
to.
how you get out
We
of
need
that.
to,
Okay.
and let's hope it's on the other side of me having the count back. I mean, I feel like this has been like a 10-step process, and I feel like I'm at step 7. But let's hope we get all the way through it. But it's just it's a real life example. Now, again, it could happen to YouTube. We've seen many of our friends where either due to a hack or even just a bad bot, thinking some content was not appropriate or something wasn't correct, their channel's being taken down, and it's not easy. I mean, I had to basically pay for Instagram verified just to even be able to have a human being look at my situation. So it's real. Cybersecurity is a real deal. So everybody go turn on your two-factor authentication. And James, we definitely need to have some sort of thought about a show, because I just don't want this to happen to anyone else, for sure.
There you go. There you go, folks. I know you found value, so I know you're going. My normal outro is, if you found value in this, let us know. If you didn't find value, still let us know. But I know there was value in that based on the comments that came in and the folks that are still trickling in. So shouts out to everyone. Appreciate you. Share this. Make sure you follow Rob. Make sure you follow Mel. I will put all the links to the things that we talked about in the description. And we'll catch y'all next time. Be good. All right. Take care of yourselves.